We are here today with Jared and Amanda Morningstar, who are pretty darn unusual in mid-Michigan and maybe even way beyond, because they have literary, that's a hard word, bragging rights that they have both had their first books published this summer. Big ego situation going on, right, at home? So, Jared, tell us a little about yours, like the title. I think it's fun when people say their own titles. The contents, how many poems, how many topics, if there are any, and how many years it took to maybe compile all the works in there.
Okay. Well, the title of my book is American Fries, Poems and Stories. And the compilation process was interesting because some of these pieces are pretty old. They go back to 2004, 2005, the oldest ones, and then a bunch are also, or were written relatively recently. So even though putting it together, all of these pieces go over an expanded period of time, they all seem tied to like the overall concept of the American experience. They all different with, they all deal with different aspects of that, whether it's the political or pop culture or our obsession with celebrity or even revenge. It deals with different aspects of it, and it was just kind of funny how it all came together. There are about, I don't know, 10 to 12 poems and 6 stories, I think, overall.
Okay.
So it's, if there is a theme that covers everything, it's accidental, but I think it turned out okay. It was fun.
And did you get, how much input was there with the publisher and you, or were you allowed to pick everything you wanted?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes,
okay.
and I think it's one of the benefits with going with a small press.
Small press, yep.
And yeah, they gave us quite a bit of creative freedom with it, and they've been really helpful with publicity and ideas and input, but ultimately it was definitely our choice.
Okay, Amanda, tell us about yours. It's title and the same questions I asked him. Contents, topics, how many years of work?
Right on. So mine's, I don't remember the actual, well, it's in the Space Between Universes. I was like, is it the
She
space?
doesn't know her own title. Oh my God.
You know, I'm really digging my book. So in the Space Between Universes, you know, my book also is like a compilation of stuff from over the years. So like things that I wrote in college and things that I wrote just in the in-between. I really enjoy using writing as like a means for catharsis and to get my ideas out and how to share my ideas. So like if you look at my pieces, they actually, they kind of have a wide range of topics. So like there was a time where I was like just really into like forensics and that kind of science, and then there was a long time where I was really into like space and physics, and I think that that's something that I'm still into, but like my themes progress over time. So like as you look at my pieces, you can see like, did she write this for a friend? Did she write this because she was really digging something she saw on TV? Is this like sometimes I was literally just clicking through the channels. One of my poems is just like a bunch of things I saw on TV as I was clicking through the channels. So like it's just putting together fun stuff. Like it's something that I really enjoy for myself. So it's like for me, it's my self-care, it's my fun stuff to do. So my wonderful husband was really pushing me to put my stuff out there. He's my biggest fan, right? And he tells me how great I am, and I look at my stuff, I'm like, I'm just writing stuff, right? But it was a really fun process to work together, to go through and to put pieces together. And there's a few pieces in mine as well that are as recent as just like this last couple
it
months
spans
or
as
so.
well, yeah.
Like
yeah.
20s.
So how many
years,
poems,
right?
how many essays or short stories or whatever?
What do I got in there?
They're mostly poems for,
Mostly
for your
poems,
book.
okay.
But there are more pieces in your book than in mine.
I have like some flash fiction stuff, and I usually just call it all prosatry because I cannot write fiction.
Poetry! I love that word.
Because I try really hard, but it all comes out as poetry. So, you know, there's some longer pieces and some shorter pieces, and the format is different in all of them.
Yeah, there's somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 40 to somewhere in there for pieces in her book.
It's like asking who's your favorite child. Do each of you have a favorite in there and what it's about shortly there? I mean,
I know I do.
Okay, what's yours then?
I really like the title piece for the book,
Okay.
which is probably the newest. I know for sure it's the newest piece of the book because it's the only time where I had the title for the book before I had the poem that went with it. And so it's the only time I've ever written with a title first, and it actually turned out really well. There's another piece in here called High Speed Midnight Drive to Heaven, which has everything I love, like from classic cars to traveling on the highway to diners to Chuck Berry to 50s rock. I mean, It's got everything. And then I wrote a short story called Saying Goodbye to Baby Blue, which I think is probably the best piece I've ever written, and that's probably the one I have the most attachment to.
How about for you, Amanda?
I think that my newest one also is probably one of my favorites, just because working in the realm of mental health these days, I just really like the concepts of like what goes on in our brain, and so it's just really fun for me right now to work on those pieces. But some of my favorite older stuff tends to be like when I just use really fun language. I really like to layer the meanings of words and lines, and so if I can pack tons of meaning into a poem, then it's really fun for me.
Yeah.
But I have a ton of different kinds of stuff in my book, and so I don't know, those are probably some of my favorite to go back and read, are the ones where I'm like, yeah, I really did something cool there. But
okay, Jared, would you like to read one of yours?
Yeah, I can do that. Why don't I read the title piece?
Okay.
It should go real quick. It's a conversation.
Okay.
It's called American Fries. Take a seat right here, sir. Care to look at the menu? Today's special is deep fried. Deep fried, what, you ask? Everything. There's enough grease in this shit to make your arteries explode and to make you forget about the future. It's okay. The dream is a lie. It's been one for years. Yes, even if you are a wasp, if you're straight, a man. We can't get you a piece of that pie if you didn't inherit it. But that's cool, right? Live humbly like Jesus wants you to, and enjoy some of this star-spangled awesome. The salt alone will make your heart pound so hard you'll think it's the damn fireworks your redneck neighbor has left over from his month-long 4th of July celebration. Freedom tastes good, right? Just like racism, misogyny, homophobia, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, fat shaming, and age discrimination. Oh, and don't forget classism. Go capitalism. Be a patriot like your friends. Don't think about it. Thinking isn't your strongest suit, and it isn't theirs either. Who needs an education? Not me, not them, not you. You can't afford one anyway. So go ahead, order that triple cheeseburger. You've been eyeing it since you picked up the menu. It comes with a Coke and a side of fries. French fries? To hell with that. We serve American fries here. All American. All that matters.
Ouch. Okay. And you would like to read one of Amanda's for her, please?
Yeah, want me to go ahead and read your newest one?
sure, yeah, it's a shorty, but I don't know, I like it a lot.
I was going to say, you really do like this.
I really do.
It's called Reflection.
Okay.
Because I never paid attention to the things I thought I knew, and I had a bunch of feelings about things that weren't true, and I never thought reflection was a valid point of view, and I just kept on repeating what they told me I should do.
Oh, that's excellent.
Well, thank you.
Oh, that says it all, doesn't it? Now, I didn't really do a little introduction, so I will do it now. Jared teaches English and creative writing at the Saginaw Arts and Sciences Academy in Saginaw, obviously, and English at Saginaw Valley State University and Delta College, and he has won 2 Teacher of the Year awards in his career, and he is, if I counted correctly, in 10 published literary journals or anthologies. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, okay? Okay, we could fill a book on that one. Amanda is a mental health worker or counselor. She's been in can't do 2 things at once. She's been in 7 literary journals or anthologies. When she was a student at, I think it's student, right? You didn't teach there. At Saginaw Valley State University, she was the Cardinal Sins editor, which is their literary does that just come out once a year or 2?
Yeah, twice a year.
Twice,
actually,
yeah. And she created a summer creative writing class while at Saginaw Valley, which I guess is still, except for this year, still running. Or did it run this year? That may
It's
not
still
have.
I haven't heard about
I-
it.
It was up and going until relatively recently. This year I might not have heard about it just because of the pandemic.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
Cardinal
It's a
Sins
camp.
did a lot to put that together. It was really cool.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah.
And she won 2 poetry awards while at SVSU, and both of you have a degree from Saginaw Valley as well as other places.
Mhm.
So do each of you write creatively daily, or when the mood strikes, or what?
So for me, it's like when I have a good idea and then I
Yeah.
really enjoy digging down into it. I am not a stereotypical good writer at all. I don't read as much as I should. I don't write as much as I should. But, I think that the way I use words is fun. I really enjoy it. For me, it's an exercise, and for me, it's the way to get things out. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you fine tune quite a bit too once you start? You have an idea, then you start writing. Do you fine tune all over the place, or?
No.
No,
I
okay.
mean, so sometimes, like, I'll write it and I might write it in a completely different way and I might write it a completely different way. But I think that part of my having low vision makes it difficult for me to just go back and relook at stuff and
Oh,
redo it.
True.
So,
Okay. Good point.
Jared's my editor.
Yeah. How about you, Jared? Do you write pretty much every day?
Oh, I wish I could.
Yeah, when you're all those teaching jobs.
Yeah, and then having kids
Yep.
and everything, it makes it difficult to write every day just because of lack of time. But even when I can't even say that, I can't even blame it on that. I'm not a terribly prolific writer. I love to read.
Okay.
I love reading literature. I love reading poetry. I love reading stories. But I'm not a terribly prolific writer. I think sometimes I think it's part of it is my own awareness of my issues with my writing. I think sometimes imposter syndrome kicks in a little bit.
Okay.
So that keeps me from getting ideas down. Like, oh, I've got this great idea, but I don't know what to do. Like, I know I'm not going to be able to do as good of a job with it as I should.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of it's psychological. But whenever I get an idea down, I immediately just start putting notes in. So even if I can't write it then, I can get to it later.
Later, yeah.
And then when it hits me, it hits me. And sometimes I can write a piece in about, like the piece I just read, I wrote that in about 10 minutes. 15
Really?
minutes, yeah. And then sometimes I can work forever on a story and go back, and there's pieces in here. There's a story called A Slice of American Pie that started in, I think the first draft was in 2005 when I was a student at SVSU, and I have been working on that piece until it finally got published first in a journal. I was working on that for 14 years off and
Oh,
on,
my
just
word.
making edits to it.
Yeah.
And so it depends. It really depends on the piece and where my mind is and what the topic is, and it's
I think we've both been really enjoying writing more lately after
Yes.
having gone through the publishing process. I think it's
Yeah.
kind of sparked that, like,
Yeah.
it reminded us how fun it is and how fun it
Yes.
is for us to work together. I think for me, more than anything, like, actually working on stuff with Jared gives us something to
Ah.
do, like, that we have in common that,
Yeah.
is fun for us, that we can do in our own home while the kids are sleeping, right? So, like, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and it brings us together, so.
Well, that's kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the emotion, whatever word you want to pick, when you open that box and there's all of your books?
There are a few moments during this whole thing when you can't believe it's actually happening.
Yeah.
Like, up until very recently, I didn't think I'd ever have something like this, and so to crack open that box was like one of those moments where you're just like, wow.
Wow.
Like, there are like many books in here, and they're mine. I did that.
My name's on it. Yeah.
So it was humbling, exciting, all of those feelings. I think that a lot of people would probably say.
How about for you, Amanda?
I think I literally was like, look at all the Christmas presents I got for me. I think one of the first things I told Jared was like, I can't sell these. Like, I have to just give them away. Like, I do not feel okay with, like, making people pay money for this.
Make sure you sign them. That makes them more special. Now, where are they available? Amazon, correct?
They're both they're both available on Amazon. And now we also have copies to sell, like just to personally sell to people.
Yeah, and if you do readings and stuff like
exactly,
that. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
So.
As of right now, that's the only two places you can get them is through us personally
Yep.
or on Amazon right now.
Yeah, but what a wonderful thing. There used to be books that languished out there before Amazon. It's great.
Yeah.
Do either of you have, I think you've addressed it though, a favorite topic? I think we've addressed that before, but if there was anything else, it looks like it's very eclectic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, her collection is definitely more eclectic. Mine kind of center around a theme, I guess, just like the overall American thing.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different. I mean, that's a big umbrella, right?
Oh, huge.
And so there's the food, there's the politics. I wrote a piece in here shortly after, probably the angriest I've ever been when I sat down to write was after the murder of Jamal Khashoggi.
Yeah.
And I wrote a piece about that. And how I felt. So there's world stuff. There's food. There's driving. There's a story about a game show in the not so distant future where live executions for the losers. I mean, there's just lots
Yeah.
of different stuff. So.
How do you decide what's going to be a poem versus a story?
It's always a poem. Oh.
I think for me, for you it really is. Even her fiction reads like a poem. That's because your language is so pretty. But for me, I think it depends on whether or not there's a plot. Like if I feel like there's a plot,
okay.
whether it's long or short.
Okay.
If there's a story to tell, then it goes the story route. Where if it's just something I have to express, whether it's
Okay.
a feeling,
Reflection.
a reflection,
Okay.
then it usually ends up being a poem. I'm the opposite of her. Most of my poems, not necessarily the one I just read, that's more of just kind of like a conversational thing, but a lot of my pieces feel like prose because I'm probably more of a prose writer.
Okay.
And so my poems aren't terribly poetic, but I don't know. Like the people, maybe it's just my friends or whatever like that. But most of them say they like them okay. They say that they're honest, so I guess that's good.
Okay, well, I think that's it. So we'll wrap it up. And thank you for your time and coming from Mount Pleasant. And we're meeting here in Midland. I came from Saginaw. They came from Mount Pleasant. And it's a sunny day, thank God. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank
you.